Welcome everybody to a new analysis of Tradomics. My name is Dario, and today we're going to have a look as an update regarding 6 stocks listed on the New York Stock Exchange belonging to the Fintech industry. So let's start immediately with Mastercard. As for the episode 74, I was saying that we could have continued to go or to keep the uptrend ongoing because Mastercard from this top here at T plus 5, so it is still, of course, in place, a nearly upward cycle that turned it into a positive one around September 2024. And therefore, we can continue to keep the uptrend ongoing until minimum and from a minimum to a maximum duration of a T plus 5, which is between 189 to 339. So if we consider a mid-case scenario or a median duration, we can continue to go up until March 2025. But if in the best case scenario, the algorithms will decide to continue buying the stock, then the uptrend can last uh, up to 339 days, which means that we can continue the rally until end of July 2025. In the meantime, we were expecting exactly this retracement because from this top here, we had a T plus 4 upward cycle, which is a 6 months upward cycle that gave retracement. And why this retracement was important? Well, because the T plus 5 yearly downward cycle here was reaching the maximum duration. If you gauge actually the duration here from this low that was done on the 27th of October 2023 until here, we have 301 bars. 301 bars is close to the maximum duration. Therefore, from this low here, we can expect a high likelihood to begin a new T plus 5 yearly downward cycle. Therefore, I update the chart and here I can put a new T plus 5 with a question mark because of course we need to wait some time in order to define whether this is a T plus 5 or not, but the likelihood is really high because the time was running out. And thanks to the potential beginning of the T plus 5, we can continue to proceed to the upside. As said before, we can continue until March, eventually mid-case scenario, up to July, end of July 2025. So that's is the situation we have on Mastercard. So uptrend is still ongoing, and of course we had also the T plus 2, something that I was mentioning in the last analysis, a negative T plus 2. So the tail of this T plus 5. And therefore, here we can start since January 2025, we can start a new uptrend. There is also or a new cycle. There is also the earnings release, but here we have to at least go over the stop that is placed at, let's have a look, at $536.77. So the earnings is coming next week, but here we have a condition in which the T plus 5 upward cycle is positive and the time here is more than enough even when at the time of the earning release to continue the rally. Of course, next week, if we will continue to climb for the entire next week and we will go over the stop, now we are really close, we will have enough time to close the T plus 5. But since here we have the beginning of a new T plus 5, highly likelihood, unless we do something like this, but this needs to be happen in less than a month, then the earnings release, despite positive negative numbers, will be there will be a high likelihood to trigger the price to the upside again. So let's jump to the competitor, which is Visa. So talking about Visa, we have pretty much same situation from a chart perspective compared to Mastercard. So even in this case, we have a T plus 5 upward positive cycle that was broken with this candle here on the 17th of September 2024. Hence, we can proceed to the upside until minimum, medium, or maximum duration of a T plus 5. So far, we have had 211 bars. Hence, we have already minimum duration to close at T plus 5, but considering that in general terms, when there are uptrend, when there is an uptrend condition, cycles tend to extend the duration until medium to maximum duration. Here we have high likelihood to continue to go up, despite we have already 211 bars. And when we have a completion of an upward cycle, then another one starts. So if in this case there is a T plus 5, then we have another T plus 5. And therefore, if a T plus 5 takes place, then we have to consider a retracement that is not a negligible retracement. But so far, we don't have such condition, and we are still in an healthy uptrend. The difference compared to Mastercard is that considering the downward cycle from this low here to this low occurred on the 25th of July 2024, we have 204 bars. But if we extend the duration from this low, 2nd of October 2023, until here, which to the candle of the 10th of January 2025, we have 320 bars. So both this low and this low can be considered the beginning of a T plus 5. Given that from this low here that occurred before, so July 2024, we have already an established structure, I am more confident to segment this low as the T plus 5. And here, what I would do is that rather than keeping a new potential T plus 5, I would consider this low as a T plus 4. Okay, but still, time will tell, as always, which one of the two segmentation is the correct one. So I will keep this question mark as a T plus 5, but I would consider the structure as T plus 5 and here T plus 4. Since we don't have so many bars over this low, this is a T plus 4 with a question mark, okay? And from this top here, we can consider the beginning of a T plus 2, T plus 3. For sure, we have a T plus 2. And the duration of a T plus 2 is between 24 to 44 bars. So here with the Friday's candle, we have already achieved the minimum duration, but we have a high likelihood to continue to continue the uptrend. Of course, until the earnings release. But considering that here we have, if not a T plus 5, a T plus 4 taking place, and for a T plus 4, we need a certain amount of candle, so 2 degrees less subcycle over this low, then we will have a high likelihood to continue to the uptrend even after the earnings release. So that's the situation we have on Visa as well. And now we jump to PayPal. Even on PayPal, the chart is similar to Visa and Mastercard, but here we have another curiosity. So first of all, I was flagging in the last analysis that we were running out of time for a T plus 5, and actually here we have 342 bars. 342 bars, it's more than 339 bars. So here we might consider this as the beginning of either a T plus 5 hybrid cycle or a new T plus 5 plus a Bayer tongue. The Bayer tongue can be identified here because this is a T plus 2, and we can have a T plus 5 upward cycle plus a Bayer tongue that is 3 degrees less, so it's an extra time embedded between two big white cycles, and a new t plus 5. Okay, we might have the condition like this, or we might also have a condition in which we are not going to face a new t plus 5 from desktop, but just a t plus 4. So please follow me, because now the situation is getting interesting over and over. We know that in order to begin a new t plus 5, we need a certain retracement, and we need a certain amount of candle below an absolute top in order to develop a new cycle, which in this case is a t plus 5. But on PayPal, we have also the situation in which we are running out of time also in terms of t plus 5 downward cycle, because the t plus 5 downward cycle here is arrived at 302 bars. So we have 10% possibilities from this low here. So from 10 of January 2025, we would have had 10% possibilities to have a move of this kind, and all the rest possibilities or chances to proceed to the upside. So given that we have had not so many days above this low, we do not know yet if from this top here we can start a new t plus 5, or if the new t plus 5 will begin with or after a negative cycle. In the meantime here, we are spending certain amount of time that we can gauge below the stop. Okay, so the amount of time that we have spent so far is 30 bars. 30 bars means that from this stop here, we don't have yet a t plus 5, but we have eventually a t plus 4. So if we're gonna spend at least 48 days below the stop, then we can consider this as a t plus 5. But if from here we start a new t plus 5, the likelihood that we're gonna have at least 48 days below the stop is not so high. And if this is the case, and of course the earnings release will be a triggering point, then rather than a t plus 5 upward cycle plus a Bayer tongue plus a new t plus 5, we will have the continuation of this upward cycle, but rather than being a t plus 5, can be a t plus 6. So it means that at the end of the day, the key message is what? At the end of the day, the key message is that we have more possibilities to break up this top before the beginning of a t plus 5. Hence, PayPal is basically in an uptrend that can continue without starting a new T plus 5 from this top, but just a T plus 4. And when there is no time to begin a T plus 5 after the finishing on a new T plus 5, then the trend is really healthy and strong. And therefore, even after the earning release, we can expect the trend to continue to the upside. And if we're going to break this stop at the time of the earning release, that will be less than 48 days, then we can consider this as a T plus 4 and calculate the remaining time from this stop to do what? To basically continue to the uptrend. So you will know if, when, or basically when the stop will be broken, how many days the trend will continue, and how many days you can stay in long positions. And this is something that you can hear also on this channel, because here we apply the quantitative analysis and we are basically measuring time, and we are not talking about, or we are talking in a minor effect with support, resistance, and technical analysis, but we know already, we know at any point in time how many probabilities there are to keep falling or keep going up according to the duration of the cycles. So last but not least, from this top here to this top here, we have 25 bars. Perfect. So we have a T plus 2. So for the next week, we might stay lower the stop, but be careful because at the earnings release, if we're going to break the stop here, then we can continue to the upside for a minimum duration of a T plus 4. So in that case, if we're gonna break, I repeat, at the top of the 9th of December, when we can continue the trend until at least, I repeat, at least 94 bars, which means at least we can keep going at until 28th of April 2025. But in the best case scenario, we can proceed to the uptrend until 178 days, which means that we can continue to the uptrend until 13th of August 2025. And at the same time, here we will have a new T plus 5. On digital financial services, according to the last analysis that I issued, I was talking about the fact that this top could have been a triggering point for new or continuation of the uptrend. And I was saying that if that top had been broken to a certain point, we would expect more trend to the upside according to the duration of a T plus 3. And hence we had exactly this with an upward cycle that for the time being has lasted 50 bars. So here we have already the minimum duration for a T plus 3, but given that this top was broken, potentially we have more time to continue going to the upside because the maximum duration is 89 bars. So 89 bars minus 50 bars means that we have still 39 bars or 39 days of open stocks exchange to proceed to the upside. Okay, that would be the best case scenario. So here I update the chart and I put, rather than a question mark, a T plus 3. Considering also the number of candles below this top, let's see if this is just T plus 3 or something more. We have 45 bars. So here it's even a T plus 3 / T plus 4. Does it change something? Yes, it changed something because if this is a T plus 4, we will have more days to proceed to the upside, not just until 89, but up to 94 at least. Okay, so 94 means that we can continue to proceed to the upside until at least, as said, 94 days is 26th of March 2025. Now, another thing that here is interesting to note is the downward cycles. As for the other stock, here the T plus 5 until this low took 288 days. If we stretch to this swing here, we have 301. And if we go to Friday's candle, we have 310 days. In this case, on Discover Financial Services, the tail to, let's say, close the T plus 5 is really stretched. So on Visa, on Mastercard, on PayPal, we have had really an entire cycle that was definitely negative. But here on Discover Financial Services, if this, let me delete this once here. So if this is the tail of this T plus 5, then from this low here, we have a new T plus 5. Now, the question is this negative T plus 2? Well, if we consider, let's say, from this candle here to this candle here, we have 28 days. So we have like a negative cycle, but rather than being really defined T plus 2, we have a certain amount of candle here that are basically going negative because this low occurred on the 18th of December 24 is lower compared to this low, but we don't have a really defined T plus 2 that is negative. So I would tend to consider this one as a T plus 2, and I would expect a more defined tail to close decently this T plus 5. So here on Discover Financial Services, I might have more doubts that we can continue the uptrend, but rather I would tend to consider more sub-cycle, which might be also this one, a T plus 2 that um, turns into a negative one before starting a new T plus 5. We still have time to do whatever they want because we have 310 days, so we can have another month to eventually develop this tail, or we can have even up to 2 months because we can have continuation to the upside, then another subcycle, then Bayer tongue, which is a time extension negative, and a new one. And in this case, we can also reach a total duration of 339 bars plus at least 24. So we're gonna go at 350, 360. So we might ended up with such structure in April 2025. So here I would be a little bit more careful. And the earnings release here will be, it's in April. So here we go. So nothing as given to random or to the chaos here. I would tend to consider more uptrend, but be careful if we're gonna start retracing because we need to. If not closed here, we need to close decently this T plus 5 as I said. Last but not least, we have block. So even on block, we have a T plus 5 upward yearly cycle that is positive, and therefore we can expect more push to the upside, given that we haven't reached the minimum duration from the top from which the T plus 5 started until here, the absolute top done on the 4th December 2024, because we had 185 bars. The minimum is 189. Therefore, this cycle can be considered a T plus 4 divided in first a T plus 3, T plus 4, and now from this top here we have a new T plus 4. Okay, so the expectation is to return back to the tops, top which is identified at $99.26. How can we reach this top? Well, even in this case, as for the other stock, we have to consider the other flip of the coin, or the downward cycle. The T plus 5 downward cycle that started on the 26th of October 2023 can be closed with this swing here that was done the 10th of January 2025 after 302 bars. We still have roughly 39 days to eventually extend the duration of this T plus 5. So they can start a new cycle, which is something that they have already done, but they can do fake move, quick reversal, and return back to the absolute lows, going even lower than this swing, which is at $80. So we can have another cycle of this kind, total duration roughly a month, 37 days, and then the beginning of eventually the new T plus 5. Chances that they do these things is 10%, because if you calculate the duration, we have a 10% possibility, but all the rest, so all the 90% of possibility will be that from this low that the low on the 13th of January, we start a new T plus 5. And if we start a new T plus 5, of course, here we don't have so many candles, but the first target will be $93.83. So we have to carefully monitor this top. And of course, the final target is 99.26. The final target, I mean, final target over the short term, but we know that in the best case scenario, we can continue to the upside until 250 median duration. 250 is by end of March, or even longer. 339 is end of July. Okay, so that's is also the situation that we have on block, pretty similar to Visa, Mastercard, and the others here. We need to return back to the tops because we don't have a T plus 5. Okay, and potentially the earnings will be a triggering point to drive this further push to the upside. So that's the situation we have. So I hope this video has given you valuable insights, given that it's all for free. So if you like it, you can of course put a like, subscribe to the channel, or share it with whom is concerned, or investor or short-term traders that you know, so that can be more aware about how long the price can follow a certain route. I hope then everything uh, was pretty clear. I know that it's not really easy to understand it, but for getting more information and more insights about our methodology, you can go to Introduction to the T-Cycle Analysis video. That is all. I'm wishing you a nice weekend and see you to the next episode.